The first round of the Premier League is over, so who looked ready for the title race and who already looks like they are in terrible problems and they are in big trouble. Arsenal produced the strongest performance of the opening weekend. Chelsea gave us the most exciting glimpse of something new. Manchester City showed plenty of weaknesses but also reminded us why they can never be written off. And then there were Liverpool, Manchester United and Tottenham. Three giants, three deeply worrying performances. Let's start with the champs. Arsenal opened the season by beating Coventry 3-0 and the result was almost the least impressive part of the performance. This looked like a team that already knew exactly what they wanted to do. The structure was clear, the movements were automatic and the connections were already there. While several rivals are still installing new ideas, Arsenal have kept the core of a title-winning side and added even more depth. Kai Havertz, Bukayo Saka and Martin Odegaard scored. Christos Solis was a constant threat on his Premier League debut. Arsenal were 2 goals ahead after 23 minutes and finished with an expected goals advantage of 1.8 to 0.28. Mikel Arteta said there was a lot to like, but still criticized his team's compactness after the third goal. That tells you something about the standards inside this Arsenal team. After one round, they are my number one favorites for the title, not simply because they won, but because they looked like the most complete and settled team in the league, which we knew even after Community Shield game. Chelsea closed the weekend with the most intriguing performance. Xabi Alonso immediately introduced his 3-4-2-1 system that became his trademark at Bayer Leverkusen in Germany. 3 central defenders, aggressive wing-backs and 2 creators behind the striker. And Chelsea's new attacking triangle looked frightening. Cole Palmer, Morgan Rogers and Joao Pedro scored in the 3-2 win at Fulham. Palmer assisted Joao Pedro after just 31 seconds. Rogers scored on his debut and Joao Pedro later created Palmer's goal. Their movement was fluid, their combinations were quick and all 3 looked comfortable changing positions. Alonso called them special players. If this relationship develops, Chelsea may have one of the most dangerous attacks in the league. But this was not a perfect performance. Robert Sanchez made mistakes, Fulham scored twice and Chelsea lost control of the game in certain periods. The attack already looks elite. The defense? No, not yet at least. Still, Alonso immediately showed why Chelsea brought him to London. His time at Real Madrid ended badly and far too quickly, but his work at Leverkusen proved he can build a clear identity. Chelsea may have made one of the summer's most important signings, and it may be their manager. Manchester City were much less convincing. There is no longer Pep Guardiola. Enzo Maresca is now responsible for rebuilding City, and for 83 minutes against Bournemouth, his first home league game looked like a defeat. City were slow and predictable in the first half. Erling Haaland failed to score on opening day for the first time since arriving in England, despite taking 5 shots. Bournemouth led through Marcus Tavernier and City produced only 0.49 expected goals before halftime. But the old fear remains. Even when City look vulnerable, opponents still know the game is never finished. Ryan Cherki came off the bench and changed everything. He created the equalizer for Mark Gay and Joško Gvardiol's stoppage time winner. 2 late goals, 2 Cherki assists, 3 points secured. City did not look like champions, but they still found a way to win, and that is precisely why nobody should dismiss them. Liverpool, on the other hand, were the first major disappointment. They escaped. Liverpool were one of the disappointments. They escaped Newcastle with a 2-2 draw after Dominik Szoboszlai converted his controversial penalty in the 9th minute of stoppage time. Some believed the Lewis Hall's contact on Victor Munoz was enough, others thought Munoz went down too easily. But that debate should not hide Liverpool's real problems. Both Newcastle goals came from almost identical situations. Liverpool lost the ball high up the pitch, their midfield was completely open, and Newcastle attacked straight through the center. According to Opta, Liverpool have now conceded more goals from fast breaks in all competitions since the start of last season than any other Premier League team. New coach Andoni Iraola wants a more aggressive Liverpool, and there were positive attacking moments, but the squad looks unbalanced. They need a defensive midfielder, more quality out wide, and greater depth before the window closes. The point was valuable. The performance was a warning. Manchester United were even worse. A 2-0 defeat to newly promoted Hull City was not just the bad luck. Hull had identified United's weaknesses in wide defensive transition, attacked those spaces and scored both goals from set pieces. United had 21 shots, but rarely looked coherent. Without Benjamin Šeško, they lacked a true reference point. Players occupied the same spaces, crosses arrived without a clear target, and Bruno Fernandes never took control. The real control. He looked closer to the ineffective version from the World Cup than the player who carried United last season. Defensively, the same old problems return. There was not enough protection in front of the back line, and once Hull broke the first press, United ran in several different directions. Carlos Baleba should help. United have agreed a deal worth up to £70 million for the Brighton midfielder, who gives them missing physicality and defensive quality. But one player cannot solve every structural problem. Michael Carrick has serious work to do. And then there is Tottenham. Brentford simply did not beat Spurs 3-0. They dismantled them. The numbers are brutal: 26 shots to 9 and 3.96 expected goals to 0.47. Brentford even missed the penalty. Mamadou Sangaré dominated midfield on his debut and helped create 2 goals. Tottenham had chances, but they never looked like a functioning team. Roberto De Zerbi admitted that Spurs neither showed their soul nor their quality after enormous summer investment. That is a devastating assessment after only one game. Savinho has arrived and Omar Marmoush may follow, but Tottenham's problems were not only about talent. They were physically overpowered, tactically disconnected, and far too easily to play through. More expensive attackers will not automatically fix all of this. Finally, 2 teams deserve special prize: Brentford and, of course, Brighton. Brighton destroyed Aston Villa 4-0, scoring all 4 in the first half. They recorded 19 high turnovers, the most of any team in the round, and allowed Villa fewer than 5 passes on average before applying pressure. That was not a lucky afternoon, it was a perfect demonstration of Fabian Hirzeller's football. So, after the first weekend, Arsenal looked like the team to beat. Chelsea may have found a system and a front three capable of joining the title conversation. City remains dangerous even during a major transition. Brentford and Brighton were outstanding. Liverpool need reinforcements. United needs structure. Tottenham need almost everything to improve and to do it quickly. It is only one round. We should not make final conclusions after only 90 minutes, but first impression matters. And some of these first impressions were just impossible to ignore. If you like the video, comment, put like, and of course subscribe. Hear you very soon.